Hello, my name is Jeremy, just your average everyday guy. That is until sometime in my early 30s, I developed a spinal condition known as ankylosing spondylitis. It took me from this, 6 foot tall, to this, not 6 foot tall. But I wasn't going to let that get me down forever, so eventually I kicked some bad habits and started fighting back. I still get some pretty strange looks, but I'm now doing what I love, traveling and adventuring. My goal is to show other people with disabilities or anyone facing challenges that your best days don't have to be behind you and that there's always hope. So thanks for joining me, the Handicapped Hiker. On the last episode, we left Lake Powell and made our way north to Bryce Canyon National Park, where we checked out some scenic overlooks and did an early morning hike of the Navajo Loop Trail. After our hike this morning, we're continuing north to the town of Salina, Utah, for one last lunch together on this amazing trip. As I mentioned in the last episode, the flying crew thought we were spending tonight in Salt Lake City and flying home early in the morning. After a great lunch at Mom's Cafe, I dropped a big surprise on the flying crew before we parted ways with the driving crew, who would now be heading east back to Ohio. I've been waiting 5 months to tell them. We're actually hopping on a plane today, flying to Jackson, Wyoming, picking up another rental car, and heading through Grand Teton National Park to my favorite place on Earth thus far, the world's first national park and birthplace of the incredible park system we have today, Yellowstone National Park. But first, let's make our way through Grand Teton National Park, which is no red-headed stepchild. Grand Teton is an incredible park in its own right, but we're extremely limited on time this trip, so we're focusing our energy on Yellowstone. Don't worry, I later returned to Yellowstone and Grand Teton for over a week in 2023, which will be featured on the upcoming Season 2.
What? There's the sign, Yellowstone.
Look, they got the snow poles up already.
Good, how are you?
Yes, please.
What's your final destination tonight?
Grant Village.
All right, you're about 20 miles.
Okay, thank you. You too.
I feel like she would have told us up there.
Yeah, exactly. We're golden.
Get there and knock on wood.
Sorry, we closed it at 6.
As I just told the nice ranger, we're staying at the lodge in Grant Village tonight, which is the closest of the park's 7 villages to the south entrance.
I'm rolling with the wind today.
We're on cold, put it back up.
Put your hoodie on.
That's nature. Get used to
It
it.
is on.
September through November 1st. Lewis River Bridge, occasionally closed nightly, 7 p.m. to 9 a.m.
Yeah. She would have told us if it was today.
Maybe.
Park's closed. The moose out front should have told you.
If you don't already know, Yellowstone is massive. In fact, it's the largest national park aside from Death Valley in California and most of the parks in Alaska. For my friends back home, it's more than 2.5 times the size of Ashtabula County. For everyone else, it's bigger than Rhode Island and Delaware combined. The park's main road is in the shape of the number 8, or as I refer to it, a north loop and a south loop. There are 5 entrances: south, west, north, northeast, and east. There are 9 main campgrounds, 9 hotels or lodges with cabins, and numerous restaurants in the 7 villages within the park. Restaurants and lodging can also be found in the park's gateway towns: West Yellowstone, Montana, Gardner, Montana, Cook City, Montana, Cody, Wyoming, and you might even count Jackson, Wyoming.
There's where all the water is.
That's a natural lake there. That's why it's got water.
You know, this whole time when you were counting hikes, we're like, his math is not adding up.
Uh-huh. I was waiting to see.
We were like, what are we missing?
I was waiting to see if anybody would catch that.
I mean, we've been thinking
started to. Like, how are we going to get 9 hikes in? There's only 2 days left. There was a couple times I thought I might have to tell you, spoil the surprise.
I wish you would have, because I would have grabbed a pair of khakis out of my luggage last night.
Well, I did say we were going to go somewhere cold.
You did say that.
I thought you meant Ohio.
I know, that's what I thought too.
That's what I said. Make sure you bring a jacket or a sweatshirt.
Well, I have a jacket.
I guess I should have said shoes and socks too, and pants.
And to be totally honest, before we got in, you're like, it might be snowing in Yellowstone. Like, I thought that was just a joke.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to wait till we got to the airport, and you guys were like, "Why are we going to TSA?" No, for like since May, I was like, "I want to tell him. I want to tell him. I want to tell him."
Yeah, this is just like the cherry on top.
150th anniversary, and we were here.
That is pretty cool. I'm so happy to be back on the volcano.
The super volcano.
I wouldn't mind being lost.
I wish I would have known that about 25 years ago. Yeah. You would have been raised by raccoons and possums.
I feel like I already
Score! I think the general store's closed already.
Yep.
Oh, there you
There
go.
you go.
We're arriving just before dark, so we head straight over to dinner and then get some sleep before our action-packed day tomorrow.
Lake House Restaurant.
Oh, yeah. That is it.
Okay.
Been a while since I've been here.
You don't say.
4 years.
No, this place was back in the original,
Oh, you haven't been to this side of Yellowstone.
this village, yeah. We camped in this campground the
Is
first
that the
night.
restaurant?
We camped in this campground here the first night, and then we almost got eaten by bears.
Really?
So we went and said, "You have any rooms left?"
Nice.
Please help. How'd you almost get eaten by bears?
We camped in a tent, and we could hear them walking around the tent everywhere and
Wow.
banging around in the dumpsters. And
Did you have all your food in the tent with you?
no, we had it in the car, and they tried to claw open the car door.
Day 10 begins shortly before dawn. We have to be back home by the end of this day, so our mission is to cram as much in as we can this morning before heading back to the airport. Today we're concentrating on the 3 most popular attractions on the South Loop: Old Faithful Geyser Basin, Grand Prismatic Spring, and the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. And here we are, starting off at what is arguably the most popular attraction in Yellowstone, Old Faithful Geyser.
Oh, yeah.
How did we manage to time it so perfectly?
Wow.
It's not the largest geyser in the park by far, but it's the most predictable and reliable.
Feel that rumble.
Typically, Old Faithful reaches heights of 184 feet, but it's a different experience every time it goes off. Yellowstone National Park, created by an act of Congress which was signed into law by President Ulysses S. Grant in 1872. This park is vast, diverse, and like no other place on Earth. It's special to so many people. You might even say magical.
That was a short one.
Next, we spend some time exploring the boardwalks around the Upper Geyser Basin.
Blue Star Spring.
One thing that a lot of people don't know about Yellowstone is that much of the park actually sits in the caldera of a supervolcano, which, if it were to erupt, would be really bad news.
Yeah, so hold your hands over.
Oh, I got it. Say it again, Ashley.
after we left, one of the like infamous ones went or something? Or maybe it was
Well,
right before.
The last time we were here, Steamboat was dormant since like the 80s.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
that summer it came alive, and it erupted more that summer than it did in like 50 years.
I know, because
And
we
we
spent
just
a little
missed it.
bit of time there hoping.
And we just missed it by a couple hours that
Yeah.
day. Look, you could see footprints around it from the buffalo. Oh, wow. This wasn't even bubbling when I walked up.
They really suck about
Yeah. Wait.
Probably a mixture of both, but
This is like in the movies, the Civil War battlefields look like.
yeah, right. Two and a half to 5 hours. Streams are ejected to heights often exceeding 20 feet.
Out of this thing? No way.
Yep.
I'm not exactly sure about the distance we walked in this area, but I'm guessing it had to be at least a mile or two, maybe more. So yes, I am calling this hike number 9 of my 10 trail challenge.
Moving simply in fire and water. That is right now. You the archway.
Rather than going to the lower parking lot and walking around Grand Prismatic Spring, we opted to park at the Fairy Falls trailhead and hike up to the overlook. This trail is 1.2 miles total out and back, with 105 feet of elevation gain. Well, sadly, after making the hike all the way up here, it's just too foggy to see the spring. You can make out the edges slightly, but you really can't see any of the color. And unfortunately, we just don't have time to wait for the fog to lift. We're just gonna have to use our imaginations and move along to the next stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame to rush through it, but it's better than not being here at all.
After a quick grab-and-go lunch at Canyon Village, we headed over to the north rim of the canyon to hike down to the brink of the lower falls. This trail is only 3/4 of a mile, but it drops 600 feet in half of that distance, which also means that's a 600-foot climb up. The lower falls of Yellowstone River drop 308 feet into the canyon below. Although it's a short distance, it's a pretty strenuous hike back up. It really gets the heart pumping. So I'm calling this trail number 11. That's right, I challenged myself to do 10 hikes on this trip, and I did 11. Yeah, I get it. Some of these weren't the most impressive of hikes, but if you've been following along in previous episodes, you know how big of an accomplishment this was for me and just how far I've come. What you don't know yet is how far I will continue to go. Season 2 is gonna be a big one, folks. I came here on a road trip with 2 great friends back in the early 2000s. It was the first time I had ever been west of my home state, Ohio. My first time here changed me and my views on nature. I've now been to Yellowstone 5 times, and I still cannot get enough of the place. It's in my blood now, and it feels like a second home when I'm here. I really don't want to leave this place. I never do. But we have a flight to catch, and unfortunately, this road trip has come to an end. Although this great Southwest trip is over, there's still more to come back home as we wrap up Season 1. So be sure to tune in for the next episode, and we'll see you then.